Hi, I'm Kim Eddleston with Entrepreneur and Innovation Exchange, and I'm delighted to be here today with two women entrepreneurs and mothers, Susan Penta, who's the founder of Meteor, and Sandra Powers-Murphy, who's the founder of Noble Arc Ventures. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what should our universities be doing to better encourage and teach women in entrepreneurship, even inspire them to?
More female faculty role models, providing access to female entrepreneurs. I think practically speaking, if a young woman is sitting down with an entrepreneur, male or female, they're going to get something out of it. But if they're sitting down with a female entrepreneur, they're going to get something different out of that conversation and experience than they will from the male. And one of the things they will get is, she can do that, I can do this.
Excellent.
I would say we have to start much younger. We're happy to see STEM programs coming in at much younger ages, but from elementary school on, particularly middle school, we need a lot more intervention focusing on girls and their sense of themselves, their willingness to take risks. We let boys take risks. We try to protect girls. There needs to be a lot more risk-taking. I also think schools need to encourage girls to be more active, have their own voice in their academics, and care less about some of the social things, which is hard to accomplish. And we've been very thoughtful about where our kids are in school for that reason. But I would say, yes, by the university level, it would be great to see more female faculty, more classes around entrepreneurship that focus on women business leaders, because you sometimes look at these classes and who they're interviewing, who they're setting up to speak, and it's still all men business owners. WPO has a global network of women who are senior executives in companies, and that resource is not tapped nearly enough. And it is true, you see yourself in who you talk to. So having that mentor that is gendered is really important to balance out the messaging that you're getting and what you're taking from each different person.
I also think providing an opportunity to practice your confidence. Those that end up in business schools, whether that's here at Northeastern or somewhere else, they get an opportunity to practice in a case setting, but many women do not. And not all women are going to business school that are going to be entrepreneurs, right? The entrepreneurs come from all over. So what we can do in all higher ed institutions is give women an example to practice, have those business clubs, have case competitions, have that kind of opportunity for women and men, whether or not you're in business school or not.
So let me ask you this. Even when we have these programs, how can we attract more women to just come through the door?
You need ambassadors. I think you've got, from my perspective, again, it's all about making it safe for a woman to go, and I don't mean safe physical safety, but I think safe as it's a fine activity to go and do.
How do you communicate that?
Well, I think that's hard with marketing that's just outbound. I do think when it comes to university, you've got to find those women who you can get to come and then inspire them to be ambassadors, to get them to bring their groups. That is the thing that I've seen work best.
Should
honestly.
we even be maybe targeting? So we already have all schools already have clubs and even sororities. Should we be maybe even targeting them and inviting ourselves, if you will?
I would say yes.
I would say yes. I also think a lot of these universities could get their endowments more involved in what's being funded. What startups, what entities are being funded, have more competitions around businesses that grow right out of graduate schools and right out of university programs that allow women to compete for those resources, but really bring those resources there.
Right.
I think there has been a lot of work to set up a structure to talk about women in business and women's empowerment and women in the workplace, but I'm not sure the dollars are always really going there. It's easy to talk about, it's a little different to fund. So I do think that universities should also be looking at their endowments and what type of alumni funding and support networks they're building around women in business?
Something that I've been a part of more recently at my undergraduate alma mater, a group of us got together and put money in to be able to do the kind of thing that Sandra was talking about, because it was hard to get that out of the endowment. And so we pooled assets, and we are funding not just female students going and doing interesting, innovative, and entrepreneurial things, but faculty, administrators. I mean, what we found was we needed to open it up to a critical mass of women at the university, and all of a sudden we created a community that crossed student, faculty, administration, alumni boundaries. That became very powerful. And so I completely agree with what Sandra said about the financial resources to be able to create those sticky critical masses that then are what are going to attract more women.
So let me ask you one more question in line with this. So you both have had a lot of experience in helping to mentor women and with the Center for Women in Enterprise. What are certain topics you find that are a really good way to attract women, just to get them to, at least think about, consider being entrepreneurs, particularly because you mentioned not all women are in the business school. So how do we attract them, or at least get them to consider?
So in the case of the Center for Women in Enterprise, which is a women's business center where there's partial funding by the Small Business Administration, our success has been getting out into the community, honestly, and being a resource, and that we're either bringing people with specific experiences, whether they're marketing experiences or financial experiences to them, or we're doing loan packaging, helping them put together a business plan, bringing them together and providing a platform of confidence by having them explore their business plans together. It's really varied, but I would say the most successful has been when people are out in the community really going to, whether that's a church or a housing project or the Chamber of Commerce in a particular town, and going door to door in the traditional way. That's been where we've been most effective. They often come to us at CWE for a particular reason. Right? I need help with marketing, or I don't understand how to use social media to get my company out there, or I need a small loan and I haven't had success, so can someone help me do this loan application?
So they have a problem when they come.
So they have a problem,
Right.
but from a recruiting perspective, if we are recruiting, it's more effective when we're in the community and talking about what we can do.
So another question following up on what you were just saying. So Sandra, you mentioned that some of your children go to single-sex schools, and then you just mentioned creating a safe environment. So I have to ask you, what are your thoughts about having centers only for women, let's say in universities or the Center for Women in Enterprise? Do we need them? Are they very important?
I think it's critically important. And one of the reasons why is because just historically, the leadership and mentorship and natural bank of speakers tends to be more male dominated. So only by forcing the creation of something really tailored towards women are you going to drive that additional content. I mean, we even saw that in WPO. They would have male speakers come in and would say there's millions of amazing women out there, and they're amazing men too, but this is an audience where we're trying to promote women in business, and women do tend to do things differently in certain aspects. So having that mentorship come from a place that is a little bit more understood, and making sure that there is room for everyone to be able to have the opportunity to be mentored, to see the types of speakers, to benefit from the type of content that's going to matter to them, is important. I mean, there's actually some research done out of Harvard in terms of teaching styles and how women respond versus how men respond, and the grading differential. And we've seen a lot about economic differential, income differential, but it really talked to the fact that women tend to have a different approach to things, which can be dismissed in certain settings. So thinking about it not from the perspective of women deserve something more or need something separate from men just because, but because there's a definite clear gender difference in how women project things, how they learn, and how they perceive information, and to connect them with the right mentors and make sure we're really focusing on getting business leaders, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs who are more in tune with, potentially their frame of reference is critical. So I would be all for women business centers as a standalone, and centers that are continuing to support men entrepreneurs as well.
And I would say absolutely the safe space concept, which is same sex, maybe not to the exclusion of men, but at least focused on women, is critically important. And it's important because for each of us, we're one person, but we're a whole person. And a woman is very different than a man, in fact. And so the way we think about ourselves in the context of our lives and in the context of our business is different. The kinds of questions that you would be able to ask in a setting that is all-female setting, talking about business, might be very different if there were males in the room. How do you balance being a mother and working the kind of hours you need to work if you're trying to get your business going? How does that impact your children? I mean, those are the kinds of questions that are harder to ask when you have both genders in the room, I think. And it's not just for those things. I think the points that Sandra made, role models, whether that's an entrepreneur, a speaker, a faculty member, and an author, those all make it possible, right? If you are in a center that's primarily for women and you're constantly seeing women who have taken a step out, taken a risk, whether that's worked or not, you emerge saying, I could do that. I could take that step out. She took that step out. And I do think that's different if you come away from a center that is not same-sex.
So our final question, what words of wisdom do you have for young ladies out there thinking about, contemplating, maybe dreaming about someday starting their own business?
So I say, number one, you can, right? And so taking the step is the success. I think as women, we often think about perfection as success, reaching the goal that we set for ourselves. Even if we really weren't in a position to know what the goal should be, we somehow still are disappointed when we don't reach it. From my perspective, it's take a step back and take the step. And that is such a good thing, because that's going to help you take that next step. And then the second thing I would say is there are resources all over our country. There are resources. You might have to go find them. But today, as I think Sandra mentioned at the beginning, the internet allows everything to be a click away. So look up women's business centers, look up small business resources, figure out who's in your area, and pick somebody that is your best champion, whether that's your mother or your daughter or your father or a colleague, and talk to them and let them lift you up.
The Small Business Association is available. States have websites. The data is available there. Just give it a try. I think for everyone, if you allotted an hour a day to creating that vision, there are very cost-efficient ways to launch business plans, to create websites, to put an online store out, to begin a dialogue with people, to do a survey monkey, to get feedback from the market. There are an unlimited number of resources. You can do it all, in the privacy of your own home. You can do it on the side of a day job, but do it. Don't say it's not possible. It's absolutely possible, and we need more women running businesses. They're excellent employers. They're excellent providers of services to a variety of industries, and there are people there that will help you along the way. But just get started.
And talk to as many people as possible. That's talk. Talk about your business.
Thank you very, very much for being here, Susan and Sandra. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure we inspired some young ladies out there to just go do it, right? Thank you again. This is Kim Eddleston with Entrepreneur and Innovation Exchange. Thank you.